Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of Switch of Play. We've decided a year is quite long enough to be in our mini retirement, and we've stepped back into the limelight. And Micky, Barron, pleasure to see your face again.
Yeah, you too, Mark. It seems to have been a long time since we did one of these, and even long ago when we were doing them regular. So it's really nice to see you have a chat with you, and hopefully with the guests that's coming on tonight, I think it's going to be very interesting.
How are things going? I know we speak fairly regularly, but you've got a couple of new jobs since the last time I spoke to you.
Yeah, that's right. I've got a new job in a different school, which I'm excited about starting in September. School at Whitworth Park at Spennymoor, and I'm doing a bit of commentary for Radio Tees, which I did the first one on Friday night. Really, really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. You know, I used to love doing the commentary with you on with the media stuff, so I absolutely loved it, and hopefully it was okay. So I'm just waiting to hear if I get invited back.
I'm sure you will, mate. I'm sure you will. Hey, when you settle in as well, you'll have to do that thing we used to do where we had a list of words where you've got to try and sneak into the commentary as well.
Yeah, I've already mentioned that to Rob, but the most worrying thing on Friday night was there was four people with mics, and obviously you talk to each other through the mic rather than taking your headphones off.
Mm.
But every time I went to talk, he kept pressing the button, so I wasn't sure whether I was allowed to talk or not. So I was all right once that match with got going, but it was a bit beforehand, it was a bit nerve wracking. But Rob is brilliant, and I'm sure we're going to get on really well with him.
Well, Rob's developed into a really, really good commentator, hasn't he? You know, he's captured some great moments over the last few years on BBC Tees.
Yeah, he's one of them people as well. I think you feel like obviously I've known him for a while, but without really knowing him very well, and instantly you have that sort of connection. He's a friendly guy, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing as many games as we can during the next season.
Fantastic. And coming back and spending a bit of time doing this, we talked about a number of people who could be in the frame as a guest. Graeme Lee, Spike, obviously ticks quite a few boxes from a Hartlepool angle. You've been alongside him in the dressing room. What's he like?
He's quite quiet, to be honest. He's funny, really funny. I've known Spike since I used to play at Middlesbrough with his brother, and so I've known him a long time.
He's not
Lovely
so quiet,
family.
and is he?
No, no, Ant isn't so quiet though. They're probably like sort of chalk and cheese, but yeah, Spike's a real nice guy. Really has, always has been. He's from a beautiful family as well. I know he lost his dad recently, which was really, really hard for him. And obviously his wife's had tremendous battles as well. So he's had a really tough few years, but he's always got a smile on his face. And it'll be interesting to see his take on what happened at Hartlepool. I think that'll be really interesting. And you know what? I was thinking about this today. He was a really, really good player. Like even when the team wasn't very good, I think he stood out and could play centre half or centre forward. So, um, yeah, hopefully he opens up and we can get a real insight into what happened and when he left.
Yeah, it could be really fascinating. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I was there as the media manager when he was, sort of a younger player and then moving on, and then he came back on loan for a short stint as well. Unfortunately, I missed that period when he was manager, but I was sort of looking from the outside, and it did seem like he got a bit of a raw deal in the end. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he reflects on that and what he's learned, I suppose.
Yeah, I think one thing that for me that I would really, really be interested in is his thoughts on Roger's comments about was it a panic appointment or
Yeah,
and I thought that was harsh, because I know I went to watch a few games because obviously Nels was there with him and I thought they did a decent enough job at that sort of and they sort of lost momentum a little bit, but they went in to steady the ship and I know they had a lot of big plans for the season that
yeah.
they were leading into and never got the chance to do that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think.
Right, well, it's our pleasure to welcome to Switch of Play, Graeme Lee. Spike, fantastic to have you on. First of all, how are you keeping?
I'm all right. I'm actually busy, believe it or not. I'm busy. I've obviously started with Mask, so pre-season, trying to get players in, and I've also started my own coaching for kids development sessions. And being on the grass is nice, but you have to do admin work and put players in groups and message them back. And I've got a lot of interest, so it's a lot of work trying to get everything up and running and trying to get it smoothly, which won't happen straight away, but it's something I'm looking forward to doing anyway.
Yeah, that development squad. I saw that. I was going to ask about it and how it's going. And has that been an idea you've had sort of in the back of your mind for a while?
It's been a long time, yeah. It's been a long time. Just wanted something for me where it was just me in charge, me running something, and something where I can look like always be. So you know what football's like, or we've been in it. You can be in a job 1 minute and then out of a job, sort of thing. So I just wanted something what was always going to be just for me. And so I've looked at a venue for quite a while, looked at the right areas, and then thankfully, hopefully, I've got the right place, which like obviously got floodlights, which was the main thing. So in the winter months, we don't have to move venues or anything. We can stay where we are and move forward. So it's been planned for a while. It's just probably a lot harder than what I thought, trying to get everyone into the right age groups, into the right groups, the right levels. I only want to do small groups, so it's like so you can the players are getting exactly what they want from each session, sort of thing. So, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I am. It's still football. It's what we know. It's what we always know. So, try and give a little bit back.
And
Sorry, Spike, I'm just trying to get my camera back.
Oh, interesting. Well, Micky's getting out his cupboards here.
He's got flash out and everything.
I was just showing off my cookbooks there.
It's that fridge. It's always centre stage, that fridge.
I know.
Brilliant.
Spike, can I just ask, how's the family? I know I was saying I've known you a long time, obviously. How's everyone doing?
All right, Mick. All right. We had another scan for Gemma, about a month ago, but we got the results not long ago, which was stable, which we want.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, she's had since like for the last probably 4 years stomach problems since the chemo. So that's probably more of an issue than like, even though she's got brain tumor, she's having more issues with her stomach. So it's flaring up a little bit more than we'd like at the moment. So it's knocking her a little bit. So it gets her down, gets us all down a little bit. Like that part of it. But when she's all right, she's good. She's positive. She was wanting to do her own podcast, and she was starting that today. So we were meant to do one about an hour before this, but again, her stomach's just flared up, so she's had to have a lay down. But it's something she's been wanting to do because she wants to help others. She does help people who contact her for advice in same situations. I'd probably say 5, 6 or more a day. And so she's wanted to put a podcast out there, which is just going to hopefully hit them people and be able to see and can help people really and give people a bit of a positive note in a difficult situation.
Yeah. And I can see behind you a picture of your dad there.
Yeah.
I was saying, I mean, obviously when he passed, there was so much love for him. I'm on Twitter and all the things. I mean, it must have been nice to see everyone saying such lovely things.
It was as a funeral goes. It couldn't have went like any better for what the turnout and how we had it. It was more of a celebration for my dad. It was more people just telling stories. It was players who had fell out with him many years ago, and it was just literally because he dropped them. As simple as that in football. They played for him for 8 years, and then he dropped them, and then that was it. They were his mate for a while, but they come to show the respect and asked about the stories they had to tell. And yeah, it was. Listen, it was for me. It was that man, your father, but anything to do with football, your guidance through your career. He told you had the knowledge, and that was probably one of the hardest things when I had the Hartlepool, the manager's job, and probably a month after me getting the job, he was put in hospital and then put in a home sort of thing. So it's difficult. He came to the first few games, which was nice, but I remember looking up and looking at him, and the game be one side of the pitch, and he was just staring at. He wasn't even like, it wasn't in the game. He didn't understand like what was going on, and then after the game, he'd ask me why he wasn't playing. So
yeah, I mean, I know
with the manager. Yeah,
I know he was ill at the time, Graeme, but he would have been so proud of you. You know, managing Hartlepool especially. I know because he was a manager for so long, he would really have been proud of you, like looking down on you. And as you see, I spoke to him in a couple of the matches, and yeah, he wasn't totally understanding what was going on, but you could still see that pride in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I said I tried to say that to my mum. I said somewhere inside he's there and he understands what's going on, and he got to be at one of the game or a few of the games, which was.
He never said to me why I wasn't playing, mate.
I know, yeah.
Ranger.
Class.
No, well, I mean, I know that the dementia awareness thing is something that is close to this podcast with my dad as well. Living with dementia at the moment, and so no, it was really sad. But I knew your dad many years ago, and I think I know you spoke about, didn't we? Spoke about the funeral that. I did a documentary when Tony was actually manager of Bishop Auckland, and I was at university, and it was unbelievable. We did like a fly on the wall documentary, and
I think I've seen that. Yeah, I didn't know that was you.
Things like that. Michael Nelson was playing for him at the time, and it was brilliant. I tell you what, he was that much into football. Well, I think I said this to your Spike. We did an interview with him after a game away at Marine, and the interview got interrupted because Tony's phone went off, and his ringtone was Match of the Day. That's how much he was just immersed in football. Everything about his life football, wasn't it?
That documentary still, even now, we'll put it on. Just how you did it, and it just got him off to a tee. But it was just brilliant. Listen to the chairman, and he was all like, "Oh, Tony's very respectful, and he's very this. He doesn't say anything." And then you him on the touchline, and he's going. Brilliant. But that's like what you're doing that now is we can watch back and have a smile about. So it's brilliant.
Definitely.
Do you take any of the style that your dad have? Is there any of that in your management style?
Shouting at the ref. That bit.
Shouting at the ref.
No, my brother will do that. He guided. He was big on little things in the game, like your throw-ins, and he was always on to you about how you manage players. And you going to the funeral, the players from all the years, every single one of them said, like, your dad made me feel like I was the best player on the pitch. But going on, the way he spoke to me, what he got me, I'd run through a brick wall for him. And you look and think, well, that's what you like. So much as you do on the grass, it's how you deal with the players off the pitch and what you're saying to them, and how you're getting them to believe in themselves more than anything. So you try and do that. He was obviously a master at it, and and like I said, so you try and use that. And that's, like I said, when you look back now, like for me now, that guidance would have been massive for me.
I noticed Masker playing Darlington at the weekend. Is that right? The friendly door, so you need to be on your game for that one. Definitely, Spike.
We're playing. It's at Billingham, actually. Neutral ground, but now it should be a good result.
So how are you finding Mass, Spike? How are you managing sort of with players who are working and coming training or coming to games?
It's a challenge. Obviously, a pre-season is no one getting paid or anything. You have to come. You get yourself fit to the start of the season. But the lads have been great. Every training session, they give everything. Some lads will turn up a little bit late. Some lads they'll let you know, I'm at work, I can't make tonight. So you get one or two. So your numbers change quite quickly. But in general, once you're getting that grass, it doesn't matter who you're coaching. You're out on the grass and you're enjoying it. And like I said, in the training sessions we've had, the lads have been fantastic. We've had a couple of games now. And they're starting to we played last night, and they're just starting to get a bit more understanding what I want sort of thing and trying to get for them. And hopefully we'll get a few more bodies over the line before.
Just ignore him. He's just come in from work. He's trying to get something to eat.
How selfish.
Get a few more bodies over the line. Yeah. And then we'll be all right, ready for the start of the season.
So, Spike, let's take you back to the beginning of your football attachment. And obviously, you were born into a football family. You were always probably going to go down that line. But tell us about how what your journey was to your debut, which I think was against, a substitute appearance against Arsenal, wasn't it? Ian Wright and Dennis Burke?
Yeah, it was. I had weird, like, you look back and how I was always centre forward. I was a centre forward from the age of 7, 8, a tricky winger, and then I was centre forward from so then I came into, I had opportunities. York picked me up under 16s as a centre half because one of the centre halves had got injured, and I turned up there. I went, no, I'm a centre forward. By all accounts, when I was at Leeds, they told my dad he'd be a good centre half. And my dad said, no, he's a centre forward. And then when I came into Hartlepool, we played against Hartlepool for York, and Billy Horner pulled my dad and said, "This is at under 16, so if he comes here, we'll give him a scholarship straight away." So my dad got me in the car and he was like, "They've offered you a scholarship. York haven't made a decision yet. What do you want to do?" I said, "I'll take it, just to get the opportunity." And at the time, York were like, I think they were Championship. They were great setup. I just wanted that opportunity, and I came in, played a year youth team, centre forward, and then I think back end of the season again as centre half. Got injured in the warm up. Billy Horner, "Can you go play centre half?" Him and Hughie played centre half, and as I came off, I think they turned around and went, "I think we've got a centre half in our hands here." And so I played one more game, I think, centre half. Now the season finished, and then I started as centre half at 17-year-old second year Scotland. And that's when I broke into first team within a month, like being in the squad, and then having that debut Arsenal away, which was just absolutely. It was just I'd been playing at Blackwell, and then all of a sudden I'm playing in front of, I think it was 30,000 fans, and there was John Hart and Bergkamp, Tony Adams, and I can remember going over and John Hartson had the ball and I ran over and I tackled him. And because I tackled him, I thought, in my own head, this is me thinking, I can still remember it. So like, that was too easy. The whistle must have gone. Everyone's laughing at me. So I just literally booted the ball up the pitch, turned around and went, "Oh no, that was all right." I was like, it was just like a bizarre like moment sort of thing. But yeah, what something I'll always remember. And then I think I was in and out the team. I didn't have any more starts. I was on the bench a bit. And then I started New Year's Day, Bury away, and I think, what was it, 1996, I think.
Well, Nick Laughlin was mentioning this earlier on when he saw that you were coming on. He texted me, said, "You've got to ask Spike about his first touch in the game at Bury, where apparently you just back off, take it on your chest, sweep the ball out of the
volley down the line, I think it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think, I don't know. Yeah, that's how, probably from being a centre forward all the time. Through my career, when the ball came, I was trying to be a bit more composed, and if I brought it down later on, everyone will just say I was a head on a stick. But when I was a young lad, I used to try and bring it down more. People mentioned that, but at the time, you're just in the game, you don't understand. But what about your first touch? I was like, "All right." It was a great 3-0 away. I always remember it, and I'm new to it also. I was literally at a New Year's Eve night planned. So that got cancelled. So I can remember taking 8 cans of Budweiser in my bag for after the game, thinking to myself, "I'll have a drink after the game." And I remember the first team lads all turned around, looked at me, and went, "Who's brought them?" I went, "The man." They went, "Fuck, you've got a good chance, you son."
Spike, I was just gonna ask about the characters in the team, in the first team at that time. Who would you be? Who was in the team that the fans would know? And I mean, obviously, I came after that, but there was some real characters around the place at that time.
You had the younger ones were like Denny Ingram, Halliday. I think Skeddy had moved on by then. So the roomie with Gookie, he was the captain at the time, but Gookie was he's still there now, Gookie, but he was like, he taught me a lot on that pitch in the sense of how you deal with yourself, how you. I remember going in for a tackle one of my first games, and someone had done me and hurt my leg, and I stayed down for like 5 seconds, and he grabbed me, and he'd like by the scuff of me and just lifted me up and went, "Never show effing pain," and just shoved me on the pitch. But that was like a little light switch in my head that throughout my career, you don't show pain. That's it. No, you don't give anyone it, and that was how you saw the mentality of, and that was like the roomie with Cookie and. He'd be alright with me saying it now, but I remember. So like, I'm a young lad. I remember it might be Brighton away somewhere, and you're like 8 o'clock. I'm trying to get to sleep, and he pulls out like 4 cans of Foster's, and I'm like, and he goes, "One on." I'm like, no, I'm trying to get to sleep. So I'm like laid there trying to get to sleep. He's got the telly on, the lights on. He's drinking his cans. I can eat it and bin. And I'm like thinking, like tossing and turning. Anyway, like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm still wide awake. He's bollock naked, lied, fast asleep, snoring his head off. I'm getting up, turn the lights off, turn the telly off, go over there. But the next day he goes on and he's like a man mountain on the pitch. He was absolutely awesome. And it was, it was just, I had Joe Allen, I had Peter Billing, centre half. He was a great when I first moved up with the first team, like, loads of like somewhat like where you talk about managing, he'd come up, he's a centre half, he's a young lad coming up, he arm around me straight away. You've got a good career ahead of you, son. Just little bits of advice, and just little things you remember even now. But it was tough. I hated moving up into the first team when I was a youth team at the time, because there was no one held back. They tried to kick you. They tried to start. He's a young lad coming up like that. And I remember Joe Allen at the time. I hated Joe. Like, when I came up, I hated him. He'd stamp at me in training. He'd do stuff to me. And I remember, like, just every time they called me up to train, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And I'd go. And I remember Joe pulling me, like, it was probably a few years after he went, I knew you'd do well, son, because I've done all sorts of you in training. And you know what you did? You kept coming back at me. And that's what I liked. I was like, all right, but you could have let me know that at the time, because it was a great one, but it was a different, like I said, in them days, like Mick Tate was giving me my opportunity. Well, Keith Houchin gave me my debut, and then it was Mick Tate he gave me my run. And I remember we had a Blackpool trip away at Christmas time, and I'd been in the team for that 15 games. And he said, no matter what, I said to myself, I'm giving that lad 10 games, no matter what. And he did, and for a manager to do that was massive for a young lad. So yeah, but Mick, were you on the bus? Were you there with Micky? You know?
Yeah. He signed me.
You will have had a few on the bus with Mick on the way home.
Oh yeah, he was the only one that drank that. Was it strong arm stuff?
Oh yeah.
And he used to get a crate of it, didn't he? And no one else would drink it. Yeah. People won't believe it, though, Spike, that we used to have to go down the front of the bus and ask for a can of lager or whatever it was, put 50 pence in it, 50p in you, and walk back with you, and like someone would shout, Micky, get me one. He'd be like, no, I'm only allowed one, and you have to walk back to the bus. But Tate used to have a crate of them every trip, didn't he, to himself?
I remember if we'd lost, the lads had to send me down, the youngest, like, go see if the gaffer let us have a drink yet. I'm like, well, and he'd walk down. And if he was in a real bad mood, it was like when we get in the motorway, and it was like, so we had to wait to the motorway and go back down. If we won, there was no questions asked. It was just get on it. So,
Well, going back to Guppy, I'll tell you a story about Guppy. I ended up in an airport with him flying to the Dominican Republic, and he was like, "Come on, Micky, come over, have a pint." So I'm not a big drinker, but Guppy can handle his eel. So I had a pint with him in the airport. I thought I'd best buy him one back. So then I had another one. I bought him, and he got on the plane, and then the air stewardess come up and went, "Oh, the guy down the front's bought you a drink." So I was like, "Oh, brilliant!" So I put on my tray, and I kept sending them back, thinking like that would maybe equal and would stop. And by the time we got to Dominican Republic, I had about 9 cans still on my tray in front of us. And Guppy had drank all his. I had to put them in my backpack and walk off.
Brilliant.
He's a great guy.
Did he carry you off as well, mate?
Say again?
He's a good lad. I said, did he carry you off the plane as well?
He might as well have done, yeah.
But you two obviously played a decent number of games together as well, and had success on the pitch, didn't you? You know, obviously when the playoffs came around, you know, we tried and tried again, didn't we, in the playoffs, and finally got that promotion.
Yeah, we had some Micky. I think we were known for 3 at the back, or Micky was right back, but when we played 3 at the back, it was great for me. My game, go attack the ball, and knowing if anyone's going to get a flick or beyond, Micky read the game unbelievable and just swept up round you and mopped everything up. So that give you the freedom, me and Chris Westwood, if it was, to just be a bit more aggressive and on the front foot. So because we know Micky's going to be just sweeping up and mopping up for us. And Micky was a great player and had a great career. But we had some great times, not on the pitch, but we had well, even now, like, I think, and it went on for many years after that, the team's spirit, and it was that base of the lads of Micky and Richie and Tinks and all them who it was a core of lads who just enjoyed being around each other. But when that came off, when they went on the pitch, and that's what we had a massive spirit. So then playoffs, I think the first 2 years, Chris, we got in the playoffs and he changed everyone around. We got in the playoffs, he changed everyone. Then the third year, we got in the playoffs. And we knew we should. Cheltenham was just we knew we were the better team. Like throughout, we were on a good run, and Chris knew then he had the base of the team. He only had 1 or 2, and he did, and we knew we were going to be up there, and thankfully we were.
It was an amazing.
Yeah, time. I think. Sorry, Sim. I think I was lucky because I had some big, strong tough defenders playing alongside. I remember having Strods one side and Spike the other.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I was just thinking, well, they're not going to lose many headers, but if they did, I was lucky enough just to have to go behind them. But like two, but you think, like, I used to watch them two going up for corners, for our corners, thinking I would not want to be marking either of them on a corner, because you and Strods were fantastic in the air, but big, strong, and obviously Westy played alongside. So I was really lucky that I was able to do what I could do because I had Spike and whoever else alongside us in a formation that suited us at the time. It really did.
Yeah, massively did. We had some good players. I remember I used to look around at the change room because of all the characters we had and all the daft things we got up to. And we'd be top of the league, and I'd be looking around. You know, sometimes you just sit back and look and going, how the hell is this lot? You know what I mean? Like, what we are. You got on the pitch, you knew why we were top of the league because the way we played, the way we, like, it wasn't, we had a bit of everything. We could play, we could pass, we could mix it up, we could fight, and that's why we done well.
To be honest, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to all the Under the Cosh podcasts. So a lot of the things of the successful teams, doesn't matter what era you listen to and what they're talking about, has that core thing. It has that sort of friendship and real good dressing room behind it. Whether I was listening to Steve Walsh today when he's at Leicester and he's talking about their group and listening to other people. And it's just that sort of willingness to help each other out and be around each other a lot of the time, because you are. And I think that started in that sort of era, Spike, didn't it?
Yeah, massive. Every club I've been at where you had success, you knew the change room was good. It was together and it was ready, and you either went out together or you socialised together or you just had a real good bond, and that's massive to be on the pitch, because it gives you that extra more advantage on the pitch. It does, massive.
Yeah.
Given that and the success you'd had and the amount of games you'd played, when it came around, the opportunity to move on to what was let's be honest, a huge club in Sheffield Wednesday, how difficult a decision was that?
It was difficult, more difficult when I'd sort of like been, obviously Chris going there was a big factor, because he'd sort of like did sport to me well before the end of the season, so I knew I had that up at the time. They're in the championship, so I'm thinking, right, great championship move. So I sort of like had a little bit agreed that I was going to go, and then they got relegated, so then it made it a little bit more difficult. I probably rushed into it because at the time, not so much the leaving Hartlepool. I think I'd got to the point where I'd been there from 16-year-old, 8 years, and it was like one of them that I felt as though it was time to move on, even though I was loving every minute of it. And I always look back and think, if I just stayed that next year, because how much it went again. But you never know. It was one of them I'd agreed with Chef Wade. I had literally in June, I had some other clubs from high leagues ring up, but I'd sort of like been already tied down quite early, sort of thing. But it was just, I don't regret anything you do in life and in football. And Sheffield Wednesday was a great club. It was like you'd gone from being 5,000 poolies bouncing around to all of a sudden you got 30,000 Wednesdayites bouncing around it. The atmosphere and everything about that club was great. It was tough the first year. I'm watching all my mates getting in the playoffs and flying, and I think they ended up. I was injured back end of the season, but I think they were only about 2 points off like relegation, even enough. So it wasn't great, but you'd trust like obviously what Chris was like, and he'd bring players in, and he started doing it again, but unfortunately lost his job in the second year. Paul Sturrock come in, and he literally just got you the fittest player you could possibly be, because he just his work ethic, what he wanted from his players, were just organised, fit team, and that was it, and that's how you played. And he got good players, fit and organised, and like I said, we kicked on. But I do think if Chris was there, he'd have had the opportunity, he would have developed and had success as well.
You scored on your debut against Hartlepool as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I remember one of the lads going, oops, left him with a free header. It's like on the pitch, it was one of them. It's like, in the cup game, it was one of them. But then you got me back and you just won in the penalties, I think it was. So it was, but yeah, you know what football's like. First cup draw, Hartlepool. I'm like, all right, yeah, that'd be. Well, you might as well get it out of the way quickly and thing. But no, it was this and that. Both clubs said, but I loved my times at Hartlepool, and I have great memories at Sheffield. It was, like I said, it was a fabulous club to play for, and I probably the back end I'd signed when we got promoted into the Championship again. I missed obviously the playoffs and everything, which would have been a massive occasion to be out there with in that occasion against all my old teammates. But it was I'd signed a new deal. It was just, but I just at the end I think I spat my dummy out on Christmas and walked away, sort of thing. Like I said, I needed a win, as you do. I think it was the first time in my career where I'd been messed about a little bit. Sturrock had told us, like, he brought Graham Coughlin in, and he was like, I've brought him in. Don't know if you two will complement each other, but if he's fit, he'll play. So I'm like, oh, right. So it was like everything I'd just done the previous year had just gone out the window. It was just, and then, so I was in and out of the team. I played about 14 games, and then I just got to the point, I think I travelled away to 2 games and not even in the squad. So I went, that's it. I want away. And he said, what did he say? No, you're not going on. You can go on loan, but you're not going permanent. I went, no, I don't want to play for you anymore. I walked away. It's been daft because I think he left about 2 months later. So, but that's football. But again, you don't have regrets because I moved on to Doncaster and had some great times there as well. So it was like I said, I looked through my career. I think it was only Bradford I didn't really get a promotion with. So I had some good successes and achievements throughout my career. So no regrets.
Absolutely. What was it, 600 games or so in senior games as well under your belt?
Over 500 odd, yeah, and too many injuries as well. I must have.
Despite how many goals did you get? Because you must have got a few goals. You must have.
I think I got around about 40, 44 somewhere, 45. I'm not
decent, isn't it?
Yeah, I worked out at time league when I was like 1 every 10 or whatever it was as it was going. I did have a stint up front though, Micky, didn't I?
I remember that. To be honest, I was saying to Simo, there was a point when you were our best option up front. Do you know what I mean? I remember when you were up front, I was saying we've got more chance of scoring today than we had when I was centre forwards were playing.
I remember Chris pulling me going, like, because we'd done some finishing on the like Thursday, and he pulled me and he went, "You're the best finisher at the club. I'm going to play."
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, 100%.
He's like, "Have you played up front before?" I said, "Well, I played all my till I was 16 up front." So he brought me up. But yeah, and I think we played. It might not have been Chris actually. It might have been. Brian on. It might be when Chris just come in. I'm not sure, but yeah, Chris may be in the playoffs up front. But I played a game against Swansea because I remember tackling one of their centre halves from up front, like I would have done at centre half. I tackled one of them at like a forward, and I turned around and Brian on it was like jumping on someone's back, so he buzzing, so I'd scored. But yeah, but yeah, it was weird when you go up front. It's like the pressure's off you. Like when you have to be switched on. No mistakes. No, when you go up front, you can. And I think if you've got someone who can put themselves around a bit and bring other people into play, then it sort of worked for a little bit. But I remember in the playoffs, I think Chris, I played up front at Darlington away, and on one of the games back in the season, we might be winning 1-0 or 1-8, whatever it is, and then he put me at the back the last 5 minutes and took Chris off. And my legs had gone playing up front. So I couldn't hardly walk. I was like, what's he done this for? I was like, absolutely knackered. Thankfully, I didn't have to do much, but yeah.
I remember one of the playoff games. My memory's not brilliant, but I'm sure there was a kickoff and Danny Shitter when you went in for a challenge. Can you remember that?
Yeah, this is the year I'd been out with my cruciate all year, and we played them at the home away, didn't we? And Chris started us against Omenrod with 95 degrees heat. And I was like, so anyway, but the second leg, he put me on the bench, and we kicked off on the diag, and I'm like, this is balls coming. I've got one eye looking at him coming across, and me and him we're coming like, you have to go for it. Like, so I went in and like we hit each other. And obviously he's a big lad, so I've like landed one hand on the floor, and I'm like thinking, Jesus Christ! And as I'm running up, and I'm looking at him, and I seen him do a little like, and I was like, he's not. That's all right. I've hit him as well. It's not just me. Like,
to be fair, Spike, when you're saying he's quite a big lad, that is an understatement. He made you look like a 5-year-old kid that day. You know what I mean? I was thinking, Jesus, if he's not spiked like that, I'm going nowhere near him.
It You might have knocked the ball, or you or Tinks will have knocked the ball.
That wouldn't have been me because it would have gone out.
Tinks giggling. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Did you not get a shot up front any time, Mick, or what?
In training, I was a regular. I was quite a good finisher up front as well, but
Really?
He was composed, Micky.
I was trying to think what my record was. I think it was one every 90.
Yeah. We counted, Mick. It was when it
they're all good ones, though.
Yeah, too right.
Following your career, obviously, football and coaching, was that was something that was always in your plan, in your head, was it?
Yeah, probably when you have too many injuries, you start thinking that. I think the year I went to Doncaster and we sort of like my second season at Donny, when we'd won the cup and things, and that next year I came in, I got injured, I got myself fit and ready. I got injured first day of pre-season. I herniated a disc in my neck. I can probably say why now. I was on a jet ski all day about the week before, and it was I was landing down, and I kept it was ridiculous with the waves, and I must have weakened something. And I'd done a press up with Clark, and I got this little feeling in my neck. And I didn't know at the time. I was just like, oh, that was weird. And then I continued doing what I'd done, trained. And I got home, I kept getting shooting pains. But trained the next day for about 5 more days, trained. Getting the physios to try and click my neck and everything. Anyway, in the end, I went, it's not coming off. Sent me and herniated a disc in my neck. So I had 8 weeks, do not move, do not lift anything unless they'll have to bolt it. So I'd done that for 8 weeks, come back. And then done my knee for 5 months within a week of getting back. And it was just one of them seasons where my head had gone, everything. But I just got back. I came on loan that season back to Hartlepool. That was a year that I've never been playing. I couldn't actually jump over a piece of string on the floor with my right knee, but managed to get through games with a bit of adrenaline. And it was that season I remember just thinking, I always tried to take notes. I was watching the managers, what they were doing, watching Sean and Driscoll more, what they were doing. I just started taking a few notes of sessions, different things for when I wanted to go into coaching or management. It went from there really, wherever I went, if I liked certain things or what the manager did good or didn't like, I sort of or what I'd want to do in them situations. I just started taking a few notes and then done my B license, got on the badges, started doing my coaching badges. And I went to Notts County. I rang Micky, actually. I don't know if you'll remember. So, and Notts County, Martin Allen came in, and we were, I think, League One. We were in a bit of a relegation battle, and he came in, and I got sent off the week before. So we went to Yeovil away. So he's literally we're on the pitch. He goes, right, you can sit in the stand and do all the their set players, write everything down for me. Tell me at half time. So all right, so. He'd done it anyway. Half time comes. We hadn't had one corner there. There was literally no corners in the game or nothing. What he wanted me to. So he went, "No, you've got nothing for me." And I went, "No, we've conceded 2 goals off. It's a throw, and they threw it back. The bit of die, switch play on us, and they put the ball in the box. Scored. You need to stop that switch of play on the throw-ins." He's like, "Oh, right." So he's went and told the lads, and so then the next game he had me on the bench again. Then I played a game. We won, so I thought I'm back in here. And then he put me back on the bench again, not involved. Just might be in sub or on the bench. But I'd have the assistant coming to me going, I think we'll put so-and-so on now. And I'm going, I'm not thinking it's for the manager to say it. I'm thinking he's just talking to me. I'm going, I wouldn't do that yet. We need to keep him on and like that. But then I'd seen me go back to the manager and then they wouldn't do it. I was like, oh shit, he's asking. This is so the players. Any chance you'll get me on? Any chance you'll get me on, Spike? Or what? And I was like, yeah, give 5 more minutes. But it went.
Surely you were saying you should bring yourself on. I wouldn't bring him on.
Last 2 minutes, parents' money. So anyway, and then after the game, he'd go take the subs to a run. I was like, really? I'm like, so I'd go out there and just run with him, just thinking to myself, oh. So anyway, come at the end of the season, he's pulled us in. He went, listen, no playing contract, but I want you. Where are you with your badges? I went, I just need assessing on my B license. He's going, right, I'll go. You've got a week, and I want you as a youth team manager and with me on the match day, every match day. I was like, all right. So I went off, and I remember didn't know what to do because I'm I think I was 33, and still felt I had a lot more offer. I was played well in the previous season, so I'm thinking to myself, what do I do? And I remember ringing around. I rang Micky, and I always remember Micky's words. Have we got playing contracts anywhere? I went, yeah, I've got a few options. He went, I'd play as long as you can. I went, right, sound. So I'd done that, and I decided at the time, me and Jem were going for IVF, and we'd had it one what was successful, but then failed like mid-term sort of thing. And so it was just one of them. So I had the option to go to Darlington, and it was just getting Gemma back home around the family, and it was me, like obviously still playing. So I made that decision to keep playing. And then unfortunately, what happened with Darlington happened in the administration. But I had literally my knee within, I think New Year's Day it was, my knee, what I was injured with at Doncaster, I had 2 stomach marks on my knee and it just didn't recover. So I was literally, that was me done anyway. I was told not to play again professionally, but I got myself from going to Darlington and doing the under-12s at Middlesbrough Academy. I got a pre-season game, speaking to Stephen Pears, Tony Mowbray, and they got me in. And then I started scouting for them the next year just to get myself in. And then that led me into my coaching and all the rest. So, yeah, simple question, but it went on that long.
Obviously, Martin Allen saw something in you, Spike, that if he's sort of trying to pick your brains early on, he could see you were thinking about sort of the games as sort of a coach or a manager already and not just from a playing point of view, because he's an experienced manager, but he must have seen that you could possibly see something that he wasn't saying during the games.
Yeah, I think obviously little details. So it was Sean O'Driscoll, and I said about my dad about always went about thrones. We do work on that all the time in locking teams off. So the detail, can you win the ball on the opposition's throw-ins? Can you retain the ball on your own sort of thing? Little things, but the really detailed of how you mark, where you mark, how you should be inside, and who presses the ball from that. And so you always had that in the rest of your career. You always had that we should be in, and I've always done that. So seeing that straight away on the pitch, just giving that what about this, that, and I think he just obviously liked that sort of thing. But sometimes I think without me realising, watching the game, and I always thought I'm just giving my opinion to the coach or assistant, but it wasn't. It was for the manager, and it probably was the best way that I didn't know that, because sometimes if you think you're saying it as a player, saying it to the manager, you can hold back a little bit because you think, yeah. But no, so yeah, it was one of them situations. Even now, I look back and go, what would it have been if I'd have took that job, being with him, being with a friend, and you might went into management at an early age. I don't know. So, but like you said, I ended up working out for us, coming home and working at Middlesbrough. And
you spent a long time at Middlesbrough, though, obviously working your way through the sort of academy structure, didn't you? And you got some real hours coaching with good coaches as well, and getting that advice.
Yeah, it was just. I think I went in scouting first, and then doing the under 11s and 12s under Dave Parnaby, and good coaches in the building at the time, even through the young ages. I think Tinks was one of the under 16s at the time. Paul Jenkins. Quite a lot of ex-players, but then you had Dave Parnaby, who's been doing it for 20 odd years, and he'd guide the coaches along. But it was nice just being in the office. So when you're in the scouting, you're in the office, and when we come the 21s, I was in the office with the manager and all his coaches, and you're watching how they worked all the time. They had the conversation they had, but Tony Mowbray was so open. He was happy for everyone to be in that room, and he'd listen to everyone's opinion on players. And again, probably sometimes it was an argument with Jem. I'd probably back down quite quickly because I wouldn't win. But sometimes when it's football, you have an opinion, you'll say your opinion and you try and back your own opinion. And at the time, they were happy to listen and disagree with you, and you disagree with them. But then sometimes you're like, oh, that's a manager club we're talking to there. But it's still it's just again, you're learning all the time. But the different managers who come in, who you work from, with me being in that role, 21s and 23s for 10 years or something, it was good, great experiences, and great to see how different people work. And you've got a range from young managers to experienced to foreign managers to and how they work, what they've done, the detail they do. And then you get people like Tony Pulis and Neil Warnock, who just are football, and their knowledge is just in the head. They don't have to have the books, they don't have to have they just know what they want, what they're going to do. And it's just so many different styles, and there's no right or wrong style. It's just how their work, the belief, get the players to believe in it, and what works for them. And all these managers, them experienced ones, have had success because of the experience there, and they're still in jobs.